The following program is sponsored by Team Reba of Remax Metro East Side and Eric Osnes of Homebridge Financial Services. Welcome to Open House with Team Reba. Each week, Team Reba will be bringing you a roundup of real estate and mortgage news, along with information about the local Puget Sound region, highlighting some of the best and brightest entertainment options, family events, neighborhood highlights, and local business interviews, so you can feel right at home in the Pacific Northwest.
Welcome once again to Open House with Team Reba. I'm Reba Haas of Team Reba, Remax Metro East Side.
Happy weekend, and it's Eric Osnes here from Homebridge Financial Home Mortgage.
Oh, you're throwing it in early this time. You're mixing it up.
Jump on things. We got a lot to talk about today.
We do have a lot to talk about, and we have guests today. So we got to make sure that we get through it all.
We got to get them all in there, get all the information out there.
Squeeze.
Lots going on in finance and real estate.
Yes,
so,
there is
as
so
usual,
much.
The pace of things, COVID aside,
it has not relented.
Screaming right along. That's right.
It has not relented at all.
It really hasn't.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I was just looking at a meme, of people laying in bed, and this is what how a doctor
I
sleeps.
wish I
This
had
is how
time to do that.
How a landscaper sleeps, and they get to the loan officer, and it's just an empty bed. It's just a pillow, because they're not sleeping right now.
I know the feeling.
Yeah,
I know
too.
the feeling.
I know you're busy like crazy as well.
Lots of weekends, even though I work Monday through Friday.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I've been saying this for a while since this whole pandemic thing started. There's half of the economy has really not been harmed that much. They're busier than ever. Some are doing actually even better than before, and then the other half are just getting crushed.
Yeah,
and it's really almost 50-50.
Yeah,
when
which will be a little bit of part of what our guests might talk about.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's had a huge impact on nonprofits.
Yes. So we do have a nonprofit who's going to be with us today, and then also it's a community with people with certain health risks that are impacted too.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have a few things to talk about there.
Absolutely.
But anyhow, before we get there, though, any impact, any crushing going on with rates? Because I know recently they had a little bump up. Where are we today?
We're jumping around just a bit.
Okay, getting our cardio in. Is that what we're doing?
We're getting our cardio. It's definitely affecting the heart rates of certain loan officers. If I have some clients that call me, almost daily, like, where are the rates today? Where are the rates today? And
those are your best
friends. The
friends.
ones that I told back in August, lock them in. They're like, they'll go lower. And now they're calling me. It's like,
crying in their milk.
Where are we at today? It's like, well, we're up over 3. Oh my gosh. That sounds like the end of the world. But what is happening right now is the markets are really trying to digest what's going on with election coming up. They're trying to digest what's going on with the stock market, which has been having a pretty good week here.
Is there a little indigestion?
There is definitely a little bit of indigestion, a bit of uncertainty. So we're, as the technical aspects of it, we're testing some of our ceilings for some of the bond market. So what's happening right now, though, all in all, we're still really, really good. The national average right now for a 30-year fixed rate conventional mortgage is 3.02%. So
that's
we're just
still
over 3%.
Yeah.
Certainly not the end of the world.
Oh my gosh, no.
By any stretch.
Nope.
15-year fixed rates are hovering at 2.48. FHA and VA fixed rates, 30-year fixed rates, 2.41.
Still amazing.
Yep. And jumbo 30-year fixed rates are hovering national average around 3.35. You might be able to find some slightly lower than that as we're seeing more jumbo lenders coming back into the market. Many suspended their operations when COVID hit, or they severely restricted the types of loans they're offering. But we're starting to see some of those come back into the marketplace here as well.
Okay.
So not too shabby.
Yes.
If you ask me.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm glad to see the jumbos still being pretty low, because that price point around here where people get into the high, above the high conventional rates. Right. It's still a busy
Well, there's a big jump there.
Market.
Right. So in King, Pierce, Snohomish counties, the maximum conventional, what we call conforming rate loan amount is $741,750. That's the loan amount,
right?
And you can buy a new home with 5% down up to that loan amount, When you jump above that loan amount, though, then your down payment goes up, and the minimum is going to be 10% down for a very, very few number of lenders. Most are going to be 15 to 20% down or more, when you get up into that jumbo category. And the underwriting guidelines and things change significantly as well. They're much, much more restrictive when you're above that 741, 750. But that number is important because it changes every year.
Yes, it does.
On Black Friday.
I was going to say, I thought it was coming up. So we have a few weeks.
Yeah, not too far away.
Yeah.
But usually it's give or take a
I say
a
a
day
few,
or two.
I mean, it's over a month.
But it's typically that Friday, after Thanksgiving that the new numbers are announced. There is a formula to it. It's 120% of the median home price for the area, for your statistical metropolitan area. And so right now, 741, 750. Everywhere else in Washington State, that limit is lower. It's 510,400. So if you're cruising around Kitsap County, let's say, for instance, you find a cool house and it's 650, you're going to have to put more down,
right?
Because any loan amount above 510, 400, you're into the jumbo category.
Yep.
So got to watch that one very, very closely. Now, those are the numbers for single-family homes. They go significantly higher if it's a multi-family home, duplex, triplex, fourplex. So,
okay,
yeah.
Do you want to give those numbers, or do you want
to
just have people contact you?
Yeah, just contact me.
Or people can contact you and find out what those numbers are.
Absolutely. All this, otherwise it's just going to be a lot of numbers out there. But they run well higher for 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit properties.
Is that proper grammar? Well higher?
Did I say that? Yeah. I don't know, because I'm multitasking here. I was just actually, I don't have all those numbers memorized, but I can.
No, that's okay. You can find it on a break or something like that.
Yeah,
I randomly asked you, only because I actually have had a few people recently asking me more for duplexes.
Yeah. For sure.
And a combination of whether it's a house that has 2 kitchens or an actual duplex.
That's a great
right?
point.
So I need to make that distinction, right?
There absolutely is. And even from a qualifying standpoint, some are a single-family home with an accessory dwelling unit. Could even be a kitchen in the basement, like you said.
Yep.
Others are zoned as a legal duplex.
Right. And I have a couple of clients who are very specifically looking for either of those. And so we need to make sure that their lending is set up correctly.
Well, very, very important. Here are those numbers actually for King, Pierce, and Snohomish counties. A duplex, our maximum loan amount is $949,600. A 3-unit is $1,147,800, and a 4-unit is $1,426,450. So, what does that mean? Well, you got to kind of look at the property, but what's really important also is the down payment requirements significantly change. Also, if it's a 2, 3, or 4-unit property, especially if you're not going to be living in it, your down payment.
I was going to say owner occupied is slightly different.
Well,
right?
Yes and no. Owner occupied, you're still looking at a minimum for a 2-unit of 15 to 20% down. 3 and 4 units, 25% down.
Okay.
So the down payment, unless you look at FHA financing, in which you can buy any of those with 3.5% down if you're going to live in it.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
but then you have to look at, you got to live in it, and you got to deal with the
tenants.
PMI. Well, the private mortgage insurance.
Yeah,
and all that
for
kind of
FHA loans,
Yeah.
all FHA loans have mortgage insurance on them, regardless of how much you put down.
So then someone considering a single family that just happens to have a second kitchen versus actually buying a duplex, you're really going to want to do your math and be like, what do I have available as my down payment?
Absolutely.
Right.
Because if it's a single family home with a kitchen, extra kitchen, you can buy that with, 5% down, 3% down.
Right.
So big difference, but if it's zoned duplex, triplex, fourplex, then whole different set of rules.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad we're actually talking about that, because it's been a while since we've actually brought that up, actually.
Sure.
So some of our listeners may not have even heard this, because as you and I have mentioned before, we're now 5 years into doing recording together. But the thing is our listeners on this station, we have to remind them sometimes, because they might be like, I haven't heard you for 5 years. I haven't seen you for 5 years. And that's because we were on a different station of Salem Media.
Right, until the tower got knocked over.
Until they changed the tower. Yes, they had them take it down. And so we've only been on this station about 2.5 years, I think.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, so about half that time. So there's still people from our old station still discovering us on this station.
That's true.
And sometimes it's because they've been looking for us online. So, one of the best things, if you want to hear any of our past shows, of course, we are out on Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m., but then we're replayed on Sundays from 3 to 4 p.m., but then we're always available on podcast.
Absolutely. Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes. Mm-hmm. What's that other one? Buzzsprout?
Yes, there's all kinds. Yeah, you could just go Google us, and you're going to find us really super
just
easy.
Look for Open House with Team Reba.
And if you have a favorite podcast site, just go look for us, Open House with Team Reba, and you'll most likely find us. Mm-hmm. I actually, on the way up here to the studio, was I'm going to let our listeners know too. I have a public Facebook page, plus I have my Team Reba page, and we're also taking a bunch of my videos and putting them onto the Team Reba YouTube channel now. In fact, these shows are starting to show up on our YouTube channel as well. Yeah. So whatever way you want to try and get the information, we have it in a way that is easily consumable by you, the consumers.
It's consumable and searchable.
Yes.
So if you are trying to figure out a certain topic, geez, I'm thinking about buying a condo.
Yes.
What do I need to know?
Yeah, so some of this stuff...
I got an oil tank in my backyard. What do I do?
Well, so my recording that I did today on a Facebook Live, which will then get moved over to my YouTube channel, was about earnest money.
Oh, yeah.
And talking about what is earnest money, how does it function, how does it work within a transaction? Because, you and I just had a very successful first virtual home buying class.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Which I thought was awesome.
It was fun.
And once again, in that class, the question came up, well, what is earnest money? And is it money above and beyond what you spend? So I ended up doing a Facebook Live around it that we can then send to people later on, or people can find me on my public Facebook page kind of thing. So anyhow.
Yeah, a lot of folks think that earnest money is an extra fee.
And it's not.
It's just a deposit.
It's not. And I explain that, kind of what the typical amounts are by a percentage, and then also kind of the risks inherent and kind of how it's being used in today's marketplace. Yeah. So, because it changes from marketplace to marketplace, how you want to kind of consider your use of those dollars. So anyway, we are going to be back here after a few short messages on this channel. And when we get back, we are going to have our guests on. And there's so many of them. I'm not going to try and fit all their names in here right now, but just know we're going to have some pretty interesting guests, and we'll be talking about the American Cancer Society today. Back in just a moment on Open House with Team Reba.
Open House with Team Reba on AM 1590. The Answer. Now, back to Open House with Team Reba.
Welcome back to Open House with Team Reba. I'm Eric Osnes from Homebridge Financial Home Mortgage.
And I'm Reba Haas from Team Reba.
And we're here every Saturday from 2 to 3 o'clock bringing information on real estate and finance.
Yes, and on Sundays from 3 to 4 p.m.
That's right.
And always on podcast.
That's right.
Yes.
But you knew that already. Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, all that good stuff.
We hope they knew that already.
Yes,
they could have just been coming into this segment. They don't know.
Absolutely. But you know what? We're not always just talking about real estate and finance either. We always like to highlight things that are going on in the community and also to focus on nonprofits because
we like to give back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we love giving back. A strong community is a good community. It's one people want to live in.
Absolutely. And with COVID hitting and everything, it's been a particularly tough season on almost all nonprofits.
Yes.
Who rely on functions and events and things like that to raise the money they need for their critical services. So thank you for listening in. And today we'd love to highlight the American Cancer Society.
Yes, which of course has personal connection, I know, for myself.
Well, to many people out there.
Yeah, lots of people, unfortunately, in my family have gone through cancer, and as have I. So, so we're happy to have Victoria Doe, who is the Senior Community Development Manager from American Cancer Society, with us. Victoria, hello, and thanks for being on today.
Hi, Reba. Hi, Eric. Thank you so much for having us on today.
Yeah, absolutely. So let our listeners know a little bit about what it is that you do as a Senior Community Development Manager.
Definitely. So I am really grateful. I have a wonderful job where I get to connect with community members and empower community members to volunteer with us and help raise funds to support life-saving research and programs to help cancer patients. It's wonderful, and kind of like you mentioned, Reba, cancer has also touched my life real personally, And so working in this field and getting to do this work every day and raise more money and get closer to a world without cancer, it's so wonderful and such an honor to be able to do this work.
Now, how long have you been with this organization?
So I have an interesting story. I've been working for the American Cancer Society for almost 3 years, but I actually started as a Relay for Life participant and volunteer back in high school, as well as through college, so many years ago. And then fast forward to the future, and now working here as a paid employee, but have been connected with the organization for almost 15 years.
Yeah, and I will say, because you and I have met through my work at the Renton Chamber, you are most definitely a passionate advocate. Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things I see you at events, and you're always just great personality and engaged with people and just come in with such a positive attitude. It's hard not to be kind of drawn to you a little bit. So,
well, thank you. That was, really kind, and honestly, being passionate about your work makes the work so much easy and makes those tough days worth it.
Eric and I both understand that.
We know all about that.
Our jobs.
So, Victoria, can you for those that aren't really quite aware, can you tell us a little bit about American Cancer Society and kind of what you do and where the money goes and what it goes towards locally here, especially?
Sure. That's a question that I get asked quite often because American Cancer Society, most people know of our name since we are large, but most people don't really know all the ins and outs of what we do. So we are the second largest funder of cancer research, right behind the U.S. government. And that is our focus, research. That's what's getting us closer to finding better cures, catching things earlier. So research is our focus. American Cancer Society was the organization who made the link between smoking and lung cancer, plus a boatload of other amazing things that might be a little too deep and scientific to cover right now. But research is at the heart of what we do. But on the other side, we also provide programs to help cancer patients and their families, things such as free lodging for families coming to town to get treatment, as well as free rides to treatment as well, since that is one of the largest barriers of cancer patients getting to treatments and getting better. So that's just a couple of the different programs that we fund.
And are you working like so lodging and rides and all that? Are you working with like Hutch or UW, or who do you kind of partner with for treatment?
Definitely. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Hutch and UW because that's actually another part that I didn't even mention is we fund research grants. So both the Hutch and UW are the largest research organizations locally that we help fund researchers, and ACS is really known for funding new, innovative researchers who are early in their career, and some of them have found amazing kind of links that have basically helped people live longer after cancer diagnosis. So we partner with them for the research side. As for lodging and our rides, those are large programs that we have. This year, things have, as we all know, have taken quite a turn with COVID, and we had temporarily suspended some of those programs that we offer because of the health and safety logistics. But we do partner with, in normal times, hotels, especially here in Seattle area when people are coming to get cancer treatment.
Sure. We
can provide them a hotel free of cost, just so it takes away kind of one extra worry, and the cancer patient and their family can really focus on the treatment and getting better and not how they're going to pay or find a place to stay.
And that is super important. I know my brother has a rare form of bone cancer, and that was one of the major concerns, was that he was getting treatment in Seattle but was living in Everett, and the treatments weren't going to allow for him to be able to drive. And so it was really critical that he was able to have lodging resources close to where he was going to have his treatments, because he had to have them regularly, sometimes multiple times a day, especially when he had stem cell replacement.
Oh, sure. Wow.
So it was a big deal. So so this is great to hear of how you're engaged in the actual research and helping people locally. But how is it that you guys go about getting the funding for all of this right now?
So that is a big question, and my job at American Cancer Society is fundraising, because we cannot do all this work without bringing in the money to make that happen. Mm-hmm. So at American Cancer Society, we have several different means of bringing in funding to support research and programs. We have our corporate team. We have a team working on grants. And then my team, I honestly say is the most fun, the greatest. It's the community-based team. Mm-hmm. So I work with just everyday community members who have a connection to cancer, a passion for fighting cancer, and empower them to get involved either on an individual level or at their workplace, bring in their workplace to get involved. They can either join one of the many events that we already hold, Relay for Life, being the largest as our signature fundraiser, but also working with individuals and groups who may not want to do Relay but want to do some other fundraisers, and how we can work together to make that happen. So we really just bring together the power of community members of all ages. We even have high school teams as well who raise a significant amount of money. So it kind of goes to show that you don't need to be wealthy, you don't need to be super well connected, but all of individuals who don't like seeing people get cancer and want to put an end to it can come together and make a huge impact.
Well, speaking of the Relay for Life and people who are involved in that, you have with us Brenda Gunderson, who's somebody who's been involved in that, correct?
Yep, Brenda should be on the line, and I know has an amazing story to share about how she got involved and why she's still involved today.
All right. Well, Brenda, thanks for being with us. Why don't you go ahead and share some of your background with us?
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for having me on here today. I have a kind of an interesting background. My mother-in-law ended up with kidney cancer. Then my husband got it, and he passed away in 2013. Then my father-in-law passed away in 2014, and then I was diagnosed just in 2015 with breast cancer. So the Relay for Life and the amazing work they do, has been absolutely beneficial in that the resources they provide, the information you can get, the therapists they point you to, the rides they provide, the hotel rooms, all of that stuff combined have touched many lives just in my family. And I know just thousands of lives all across the United States, and certainly here in Washington.
Wow, that's amazing! Holy cow! Boy, you've definitely had your fair share there, more than your fair share. So what is your role now? I know you're working with the Relays for Life. Are you helping organize teams, or how are you helping in that?
Well, I've actually been involved with Relay for Life now since 2012, and it was an oncologist nurse at Cadillac Hospital in Richland that said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Relay for Life?" And boom, that's what started it. So I've been on the team just about every year since then, and this year I got the privilege to be the event lead and just support and encourage an amazing team of people, all volunteers, that come together to raise all this money that we need every year for these cancer patients and the caregivers.
So how is that changing this year? Because, maybe tell us how the Relay normally works, and then maybe we'll have to come back and talk about how COVID has changed that. Right. Let's talk about how it normally works.
So Relay for Life, and that's a great question. So Relay for Life is just that, it's a relay. Typically, in most venues, it's held on a track. So we would go to like a school, and we would just be on the track there. And you would normally have at least one person on the track all the time. This year, because of COVID, that has changed significantly, where everybody needed to be virtual. The interesting thing is we couldn't get together and hug and support and cheer people on. But we didn't just touch people in the greater Renton-Tukwila area, which is where our local team is from. We got to touch people across America, across the country, across internationally. And that what was amazing to me was to see people log on from Australia and watch our relay just on the website as we were streaming it on Facebook and Instagram and all those places.
Fantastic.
Interesting.
Hold that thought, Brenda. We got more questions for you and Victoria. I think we have one other guest on as well, the American Cancer Society, but we've got to go pay a few quick bills. So stay tuned. We've got more Open House with Team Reba coming right up.
Open House with Team Reba on AM 1590. The Answer. Now, back to Open House with Team Reba.
Welcome back to Open House with Team Reba. I'm Reba Hess of Team Reba, Remax Metro East Side.
And Eric Osnes here from Homebridge Financial Home Mortgage.
Yes, and we are here with a whole boatload of people who are doing some really great work and volunteering at the American Cancer Society.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. So we had Victoria Doso, Senior Development Manager for American Cancer Society, but just now talking with Brenda Gunderson, who's a team lead with the Relay for Life.
And a survivor.
And wow, what a story, Brenda. And it's so wonderful that you're involved with this. And obviously, I can tell you've got the passion for it.
Yes.
So you just recently had a virtual Relay for Life. How did that work? Are you still on a track, or are you on a treadmill, or how do you do that?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Well, it was an amazing team that put together, and we did a pre-recorded video. We had Family Feud that we played, and we did some things to try to keep people really into the live event as it was happening, and because we couldn't walk around the track. So what we did, we had this live event, and then we would constantly be on there just, encouraging people, supporting people, answering questions. The most important thing we needed was donations, right? Mm-hmm. So the American Cancer Society, Relay for Life, we cannot research or help people unless we have the funds. And this year, due to COVID, from what I understand, the American Cancer Society is short about $200 million. So,
wow.
We haven't been able to hold our live events.
Right.
Everything that we do every year, our golf tournaments and everything that we do, we can't do. So we have to find other ways to do that. So our most important is just what we're doing like today is getting on and saying, you can go to relayforlife.org and you can go, if you scroll down a little bit, you put in your zip code, you can find your local event, you can find your local website, you can donate to a person or team that you know, or just donate in general, because every dollar counts.
And if I wanted to set up my own relay, how would I go about that? Is that something that can be done?
Well, first tell him he needs to get a treadmill.
Who says I don't?
He needs to do his on a treadmill.
I can get on my bike.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, if there's a location that has not been identified as having a relay, then we certainly need them, and we need them more and more and more. And you can be a participant, you can be a team lead, have a team captain, have your own team, and people underneath you raising money as well. You can be on the committee itself and the event lead. And there's also the possibility of starting your own community Relay for Life.
Okay, excellent.
You just get a hold of Victoria.
All right. And I just went online. I just typed that in, relayforlife.org, and find a relay event near me. I just kind of punched in the south end area. I see Relay for Life of SeaTac Airport, King County, Seattle University, my alma mater, University of Washington. So that's awesome. Yeah. So you can pretty much pick groups that you're interested in and join up. So, Victoria, I understand you have one other guest with us this afternoon.
Yes, we do. Eva Clark is one of our newer Relay for Life volunteers. She's a high school student, and we wanted her to be on the show as well, just to kind of show she was brand new this year to getting involved, and she joined our volunteer committee. And I know she joined during such a weird year for sure. But it kind of goes to show that our organization, we're really proud to be volunteer-driven. All of these Relay for Life events that we talk about are put on by community volunteers of all ages. So I wanted Eva to have an opportunity to share her story about how she got involved with our organization.
Well, welcome,
Awesome.
Eva.
Welcome, Eva. Yeah.
I became involved with this organization shortly after my grandfather passed away due to an esophageal cancer that resisted treatment. Very soon after that, I was accepted into the Honor Society at the middle school I was attending, and one of the requirements to be a part of the Honor Society was that we had to complete 15 hours of community service. Mm-hmm. And I immediately knew that I wanted to volunteer with the American Cancer Society. So I looked all over the place on a bunch of different websites, but I couldn't find any volunteer openings that suited my abilities and where I was located until I was in a TA class and I had finished all of my grading work. And so I was looking on volunteermatch.org and I found a advert to participate in organizing a Pause for a Cause event. And it seemed perfect. So I reached out and Victoria replied and invited me to come to a meeting. And I went that night, I believe.
Fantastic. So you just jumped right in.
Yeah, I love your go get 'em attitude. That's
now,
wonderful.
Can I ask what high school you go to?
I'm attending Eastlake High School in Sammamish.
Excellent. Excellent. And so how big was your event, your first event?
It was originally planned to be a large event. We had to make a lot of changes. It became virtual about halfway through planning it. I participated with posters in that event because I'm kind of just a drifter. I volunteered late into the organizational process, and I attempted to work in outreach in my own community and in my school to encourage more students who needed volunteer hours or who just wanted to support a cause to participate.
Excellent, excellent. And you know, I know, and I just kind of a dumb question, but I know with high school there is a senior project basically that's a requirement for most high schools that you have to kind of get involved, be volunteer, be part of the community, and you know the goal of that is to get our students used to being part of the community and contributing. What a great way to kind of satisfy that. Is that something that you would recommend for other high school students out there?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you was it easy enough for you to get involved? I mean, you had the tools and resources available and everything to get that going.
Well, I'm wondering how many people you've helped get involved in what you're already doing. Mm-hmm. Did you build your own team out also, or are you like kind of advocating this at your school?
I try my best to advocate this at school and within my friend groups whenever I possibly can. Mm-hmm. Most people have not decided to join because this year the requirements for community service were suspended. And it's very disappointing that people only want to help out in their community when they have to.
Mm-hmm.
That's an excellent point, because that's actually in leadership type people, you see folks get involved because they just want to, not because it's a requirement.
Right. And I'm just going to jump in there and say that it's the people, you know, like you, Eva, that are taking that leadership that an employer will make notice of.
Oh, yes.
You know, if we see, you know, somebody that they didn't have to do it, you know, it wasn't required, it wasn't mandatory, but they just wanted to do it. Or even if it was mandatory, but they took it to the next level. Mm-hmm. That's something that any hiring manager will take notice of, you know, in the future. And even college admissions, you know, officers will look at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're going above and beyond and you are being engaged and part of the community. So good for you.
Yeah.
So what are your plans for college?
No pressure.
I
would actually like to go to school somewhere up here in this area. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I didn't like it. I wouldn't move back there for school if I had the choice. So I'd like to attend school somewhere up here. And then I would actually like to go into med school to become a psychiatrist.
Oh, really? How do you feel about that? I'm just kidding.
That's a joke. That's totally a joke. Oh, my gosh. I mentioned earlier he's here for comic relief.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, Victoria, How do people get involved? What's the easiest way to get started?
And donate.
Excellent. Well, everything that Brenda and Eva had to share, I feel the same way about everything, and I especially really resonate with how Eva got involved with Relay because, like I mentioned earlier, I got involved back in high school after my grandpa passed away from a cancer diagnosis. So it's unfortunate of what brought us in, but it kind of does feel empowering that we are able to make a small difference in honor of someone that we've lost. So fundraising, I mean, that's a huge thing. And we've kind of talked about how this year has been a challenge, and everyone knows that no one was expecting COVID. And I kind of want to talk about the numbers because last year, just in the greater Renton-Tequila area, our local Relay for Life event, we raised $56,000, which is incredible. That funds research and programs. And this year, we are trailing behind a bit. We're about at $23,000 right now, with the goal to hit $45,000 before the end of 2020. So we have some work to do, but we still have some time as well. So the best way to get involved right now, anyone can sign up a team or this local Relay for Life event. And as we mentioned, we are just relayforlife.org/RentonWA. You can also search us as well, but we make it pretty quick and easy for you to sign up. Anyone can just join a relay, start a team, and encourage their friends to join. We have done as much as we can to make things easier while fundraising virtually by being able to connect your fundraising resources directly to your Facebook account. We have a ACS fundraising app, which is super handy. You can take donations from like a check, a credit card, Apple Pay, and Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal. So we have these tools and resources to make it that anyone who wants to become a fundraiser, have a team with us, can do so.
Excellent. So I'm going to read that website back again. So it's relayforlife.org/RentonWA. If I get that right?
That is correct.
Excellent. All right.
Now, Victoria, do I see correctly on your site that you have your own team?
I do have a team. Honestly, I'm ashamed right now because my fundraising is not where I want it to be. But if anyone wants to challenge me and see if they can beat my fundraising efforts or even join my team, I'm welcome to that.
We'll talk about that, I think, separately. But I want to thank all of you ladies for being on air. Eva, thank you for your tireless efforts and your energy. Brenda, absolutely, thank you so much for being on here and for everything you've been giving since 2012. And Victoria, thank you also for all the good work that you do.
Thank you so much for having us.
Open House with Team Reba on AM 1590. The Answer. Now, back to Open House with Team Reba.
Welcome back to Open House with Team Reba. I'm Eric Osnes from Homebridge Financial Home Mortgage.
And I'm Reba Haas from Team Reba, snapping it up over here.
There you go. Thanks for listening in today.
Yes, thanks for spending your valuable time listening to our show. And we hope you got some really good feels out of the American Cancer Society ladies that we just had on.
I like to have them on. You know, everybody's been touched by cancer. It seems like everybody I know in some way or another. And
numerous times in my family.
You know, it's so easy to just sort of not
friends.
think about you know, what goes behind these cures and things until you're all of a sudden thrust into it.
Exactly.
But
because it's always there.
Yeah, that's right. COVID aside,
whether
they
it
need
touches you or not, it's always there.
Right. That research is just invaluable.
Can I just tell you how much I adored Eva's spunk?
Yeah.
Because before we went on air, I was afraid she might be a little on the timid side. And she got on here and, man, she was spunky.
Took it and ran. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
I love meeting young people who have that kind of energy and drive and community involvement and awareness.
That's right.
I mean, it's sad how she got involved in that particular thing, but the way she's taken it and really grabbed on and gone for it, and it's so refreshing to see young people like that.
That's right. They're out there.
So glad we had her on.
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
You know, and so.
And Brenda, what a workhorse with all the stuff that she's done, even through, times where she's been, suffering through that illness herself. So,
right.
I can't say how much I appreciate what they're doing enough.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well,
so anyhow, you wanted to bring up kind of a
race. Not the relay. Not the
It's
relay.
no longer the relay for life.
This is not the relay for
I
life.
couldn't believe you wanted to add this on right after that. I think it's hilarious.
This is actually...
What a way to juxtapose.
Well, I know this is in no way connected with our previous guest, but I want
Thank
to talk
goodness.
about another race that's going on, and Seattle is actually in the running.
Yes.
Let's call it the rat race.
Yes.
Because Orkin has ranked the 50th rattiest cities in the nation. And these are as of August 31st of this year.
Okay, explain what they mean by that.
Well, these are the cities where they've had the most calls for rat treatment.
Yep.
And they rank them. Mm-hmm. And drum roll, Seattle, we are not on the top 5 or anything, but we are number 12 in the nation as the 12th rattiest city in the nation. Number 1, what's your guess?
New York.
Ooh, you're close. Chicago.
But how am I close? Because they're completely far away from
New York's
each
number
other.
3. Yeah. Okay. It goes Chicago, Los Angeles. Now, Los Angeles, no surprise there.
LA,
I mean,
yeah.
I listen to like Dr. Drew talking from times about some of the illnesses out there that are really kind of getting grown by the homeless problem.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And the rat infestation is off the charts.
Well, and the weather there is mild enough.
Conducive. But also you have a lot of restaurants that are closed now. And so the rats are looking for other sources for food.
Oh, ew!
So they're cruising. They're on the move. And kind of running down Chicago. Los
I hope nobody's
Angeles.
having lunch while they were listening to this part of the show.
Yeah, New York, Washington D.C., San Francisco number 5, Detroit number 6, Philadelphia number 7, Baltimore, Denver, Minneapolis, Cleveland, Seattle. We're right below Cleveland. Anyway.
I'm curious if you break down, because most of those at the very top also are the most populated.
They are.
So it's kind of like almost as the populace is there, the rats are in similar abundance.
I suppose you could say that. There's a few that are below us, though, like below Seattle goes Boston, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Dallas, Pittsburgh, San Diego, Miami. One of the best ones, actually, number 50 on the list, is West Palm Beach, Florida. So, I don't know. Yeah. But some cities are largely...
there's a lot of tourists there. Maybe there's a lot of junk thrown around or something. I don't know.
It could be. But since we're kind of talking about that, I took a little peek into my crawl space the other day. And
you have a crawl space?
I have a little detached cottage in that.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm like, your house is a basement.
No, a little detached.
Yeah,
but
the detached,
convert that into a kind of like a wine storage area. But
Did you find some
I
critters?
have uninvited guests in there that I'm going to have to take care of.
They would like you to bring some cheese with your wine?
They would love some cheese with the wine.
So I'm glad you bring that up, because I have a property I'm dealing with. Actually, not even just that. Let me just put it this way. I think we've mentioned on this show before, but I can't say it enough times. For those of you with crawl spaces, the inspectors that we work with regularly, and it's not just our client base, it's like all their clients. They work with lots and lots of real estate agents and their clients. And about 80% of the homes with crawl spaces have some sign of rodent activity, whether it's current or it's old. They have something.
80%.
80% is what they have told me. And because I was making a generalization. I'm like, well, of all the home inspections that I do, about 40%. But that's because a lot of them have basements and so no real crawl space. But if I then label it to just the ones that have crawl spaces, it is a very, and I tell this to clients all the time because they're always like, ew, and I'm like, hold on a second. We make these nice, wonderful, warm, dry spaces that, of course, other creatures find them really comfortable too.
That's right, and they can squeeze into through the
tiniest spaces. Yes, and it's not mice and rats alone. Sometimes you'll get possums, we've had raccoons, you get birds up in attics, you get, and the thing is, you want to make sure you're getting those inspections done. Because again, warning, this marketplace, some people are waiving their inspections and you won't know. And I'm oftentimes talking to sellers and we have all these conversations about how they're going to prepare their homes. In fact, we just did a show on this a few weeks ago. And I tell people, I'm like, if you have not been in your attic or your crawl space in whatever amount of time, even if you had it fixed before, we had a gal in Federal Way many, many years ago that when she bought the house, they'd fixed a rodent issue. And she was like, oh, yeah, I'm all good. And then she was shocked to find out they were back. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's because they don't stop trying to get in.
Oh, no, and they leave scent trails.
Yes.
That's part of what the poop is and the pee and all that. So that's tells them to come back.
So, yes. And in fact, I hate to say it, many of the people who live on Mercer Island know that it is a massive rat area because it's this island. Like they just populate out there. And I mean, it sounds terrible, but there's quite a population over there because there's a lot of wooded area. Right. And let me just tell you one other thing. Keep as much of all of the greenery away from your house as possible. Mm-hmm. Because, one, it's a great way for them to crawl up and get on.
Yes, absolutely.
Ivy is a perfect nest for these things. Mm-hmm. And if you have it growing all around your house, I mean, first of all, it's an invasive species here.
Right. Whoever introduced English ivy to this area, I just want to punch them in the throat.
I know. Smack that one. Oh, I know. But, there's a number of things that you can do to try and minimize it. And just, it's good to just walk around your house every once in a while and just check the screens, right? Because there's areas where you're trying to get air in because your house needs to breathe, obviously. So as you're going around, look above and below at those gaps. Your crawl space has, sections where there's supposed to be like kind of a grid, metal or something across there, to keep them in and out, kind of thing. If you start seeing little holes or frayed areas, they may be trying to chew their way in. They can chew through metal.
Yes, that's right.
They have strong, strong teeth. So you want to be looking for those things. It's good to do that on a seasonal basis. Because as we go into, because here it is, it's wintertime or going into wintertime, I should say. And, they're going to be looking for warm places to go.
That's right.
And this looking up above, you're looking for any rodents that could get in there and or birds. And if you happen to notice a lot of bird poo along the side of your siding, it's very, look up
they've
there.
nested in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and if you're in your crawl space and you see insulation hanging down.
Oh, yeah. Not a good sign.
And that's pretty much a sign somebody's up there.
There's been a party.
Because insulation
You've had a
doesn't
rat
just
rave.
drop down all by itself.
Every once in a while, if it's not installed properly, yes. Sometimes
right.
the weight. But yes,
That's right.
usually that's a rat rave.
So check that crawl space for crawlies. Check the belfry for bats. And have a great
And
rest
if you're
of
doing
your
something
weekend.
kind, get on to the American Cancer Society and donate.
That's right. Thanks, y'all, for listening. Hope you had a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you next week, Saturday at 2 o'clock. Open House with Team Reba.
Thank you for listening to Open House with Team Reba. To contact us, visit Team Reba at RE/MAX Metro Eastside on Facebook or email info@teamreba.com. Join us again next Saturday afternoon at 2 for more Open House with Team Reba here on AM 1590. The Answer. The preceding program was sponsored by Team Reba of RE/MAX Metro Eastside and Eric Osnes of Homebridge Financial Services.